In this video, I'm going to be breaking down how to generate the perfect lead for your agents and for your agency so you can consistently grow, but also so you can have predictable results. My name is Trey. I'm the owner of Agent Lead Lab. In the past 4 years, we've helped 550 agents issue pay $40,000 per month. And on this channel, I talk about strategies, tactics, and behaviors that we are actually giving agents and agency owners to go out and implement, and that you can also execute on as well. So as always, please make sure that you like, comment, subscribe. Let's hop right into the video. So for today, there is this concept that I have coined. It's called a middle ground lead. Okay, if you watch any of my content, you've heard me mention this before. And I think that this is super important for agents and agency owners to prioritize, because as you are scaling, there becomes what's called the discrepancy gap. That is essentially the gap between your newer agents who are paying for age leads and your advanced agents who are paying for high intent, fresh leads. And typically there's a variance of anywhere between $20 to about $50 per lead. Okay, you have a new agent buying age leads at $3, $4, $5, $6, $7, $8, $9, $10, and a fresh lead that a top agent is buying for $40, $50. And the reason why they're doing that is because of time. But when you come into a 1099-ish job and everybody can get paid in terms of their work ethic, typically agents get an internal frustration because they believe that better leads means that they're going to have better success. In reality, it is their actual skill set that needs to catch up. But people are too prideful. So you have newer agents that are coming into your ecosystem, i.e. into your agency, and you're telling them, hey, dial old leads, dial age leads, get your teeth kicked in. But then they're watching you, right? People catch things more than they're more things are caught than they are taught, right? So they're watching you on Zoom. They're watching you in the office. Dial these truthfully better leads in terms of intent, right, and quality. And they are, saying that if I had those leads, I would do that too. Not realizing that it's because of their skill, and there's so many micro things. So what we've coined is what's called the middle ground lead. Now, I believe you need to have both. I think you need to have all three. Okay, you need to have age leads. And I have tons of videos on why age leads are important, but in a nutshell, they allow you to get reps for the lowest possible cost. Because the thing that you don't have when you are a new agent is you don't have a lot of opportunities, right? If you buy fresh leads, because you're only gonna get 20 leads, right? You don't have the money to buy 100 fresh leads when you start. And even if you do, it's probably not the best thing for you to do. It'd be better for you to get your teeth kicked in and refine your skill for a much lower cost. Right? You are literally paying for reps. I'd rather you pay $1, $2, $3 to get your teeth kicked in and learn. So when you do buy a $30, $40, $50 lead, you can convert more likely. Okay. And then you have higher intent leads where people that are building teams, have agencies, or trying to maximize their time. The difference between an age lead and a fresh lead is the time. That's it. It's just time typically to get in contact with them. It's time relative to, the amount of people you need to call to get a desired result. You get older leads, you have to call more leads to get a sale or to get a presentation or to get a booked appointment, right? Now, over a period of time, if you actually work your skill set better, age leads are actually a lot more profitable, right? Relative to overall ROI. But when you look at actual time, high intent leads are better. Now, there's this middle phase that I call the middle ground. And most agents and agency owners get this wrong. They have this idea that they want to make age leads better. They get frustrated that they are what they are, and they get upset that they want fresh leads to be cheaper. So they're always trying to find these little tidbits and hacks. Hey, I'm going to generate my own leads. That has its own problems of its own because you are not a marketer, or you hire a marketing company that has zero context. Of our 4 years in business, trust me, I've spent an entire year and a half trying to go down that rabbit hole. It did not work out too well for me. I know people are trying to run it relative to the life insurance space, but for me, simple always scales, okay? You have a lot of people who are trying to buy transfers. So they're trying to bypass the loophole, okay? They're trying to find ways to avoid having to put the work in to get the time down, but also to keep the price relatively the same. And they're typically sacrificing the intent of the lead. All right, and I know I've been saying this a lot, so let me break down two quick, more important terms and how I look at things in terms of the definitions that I'm using, okay? So you have the quality of the lead, which to me is based off of the intent, right? Intent of the prospect, and then recall. That's how I look at it. So it's either high intent, meaning they have intent to move forward, they have intent to potentially hop on a call, they have intent to learn more, they have intent to be educated. That's high intent. They're intentful. That's what their intent is, right? That means they're gonna buy. That just means they have high intent, right? And then on the second pillar, So first pillar is going to be you have high intent, and then second one is going to be you have high recall. Okay, now recall, the way I look at it is, do you recall filling this out? So you have high recall and low recall, right? High recall is, yeah, I know exactly what that is. I filled that out 30 seconds. That's why if you call somebody the moment they opt in, right, I think it's a 400% increased chance that you can close them, if I'm not mistaken. Don't quote me on that. Something like that within the first 60 seconds. Because they have high intent and a high recall. High intent means, oh my goodness, like I am kind of looking into this. So like I want to learn more, I want to be educated. So they're more willing, intentful to actually hop on a call or go through what the process is, which means you get more opportunities, which means you get more closes. It's actually pretty simple, right? And then they have high recall. Yeah, I do remember doing that, right? Every minute, every hour, every second that goes by, the recall goes down. I ask people all the time. They're like, oh man, these leads don't remember anything. I'm like, well, first of all, agents to me are worse than clients, because at least if they're clients, they're 50, 60, 70 or 40, 50. These are agents that are 18, 19, 20 talking about, oh no, I don't want it. I don't want to move forward. And like, they're worse than the clients. They get weird, don't pay, charge back, do all sorts of stuff. But rest assured, my point being, the high recall is, they fill it out. They know what it is. They have people coin those two together, but they're different. They really are, because you can have somebody that's really higher intent, but they have low recall. That's what a lot of aged leads are. Aged leads, most aged leads, when you find the right person, means that they don't have a high recall, a low recall, but they have higher intent. That's why you find diamonds in the rough. That's what makes an aged lead good. That's all you're looking for. So people are like, oh my goodness, these are low intent leads. It's like, yeah, you're just looking for one or two people that were high intent, but don't necessarily didn't get it taken care of, right? So there's also people that have like no recall, but super high intent. Like, I wasn't like really thinking about that, but like, this is actually going to be good for me. And that's kind of the way that you look at aged leads. Like the recall is absolutely cooked. You're just trying to find people who have high intent within the old leads. And that's why the close rates are so much lower. But that's just in general. You're just saying, if I go out and ask 100 people this question, right? Because that's why aged leads are hard. They're very similar to cold leads. The only difference is on the intro, you have ammunition. Think about it. I ask people all the time, do you remember what you wore 2 days ago? I'm like, no. Okay. You think somebody who's 70 is gonna remember what they filled out 30 days ago? Like genuinely. Now, if they still have intent, then that means that you can actually close them, right? That means, well, that gives you the opportunity to close them. So now people are like, well, if I have 100 people and out of 100 people, nobody knows what they remember. But then I asked somebody in that crowd, like, okay, I know you don't know what you remember, but do you kind of relatively know like why you may have wore what you wore? And they're like, yeah. And you're like, oh. And then you start a conversation. Okay, some people are just like, oh, I don't care, it doesn't matter. And they're on with it. Or they're like, oh, whatever I needed when I first filled this out, I've already gotten taken care of. But there's that small group of people that do, right? And will say, I actually do need that, or something's changed. And you're just taking your chance. You only need 1% to 2%. People get so fascinated with like, I need 100 aged leads, I'm gonna close a bunch of them. You don't understand the game. You have the game completely messed up. There is no recall. There's none. That's the point. They're aged. You don't even remember what you wore 2 days ago. How do you expect to remember something from 30, 60, or 90 plus days? Oh, they're not, right? So you're just trying to find the people who have the high intent within the aged leads. So get back to my point at hand. When you run what I call the middle ground, people are searching for that. They're searching for like a lower cost, but a higher intent. But this video is showing you how you can create that lead. So here's how I look at it. The most successful agents and agencies that are scaling properly in 2026 are doing this one unique thing. All they are doing is they are generating leads that have simple demographics: name, email, phone number, state, age, with some level of like a landing page, maybe a VSL, or a text verification process. And they are literally, once they do that, they're just pressing, they're just calling the leads. I'm sorry, not pressing. They're just calling the leads and they're having a casual conversation. They're leveraging the marketing to actually talk to people. Now you're probably like, wait, what? We're supposed to have beneficiary or reason they're looking for coverage. And I'm like, that sounds great on paper. It does. And that it makes a drastic difference, but I promise you it does not. If anything, you're just spending more money to get more data points that don't really matter. It makes no difference. Like, it genuinely makes no difference. It's the same prospect. The difference is that you, as the agent, don't feel as comfortable talking to the person. I don't need that pre-qualifying questions. I tell people all the time, I'm like, Yes. Can I have leads that have more questions? Will it make my job a little bit easier? Correct. But if I'm trying to scale an agency and I understand that age leads is not necessarily where I want to go to scale because it's not as predictable, which is a whole nother video that I've broken down on exactly what's predictable when it comes to age leads and what's not. And then it's not high intent because every agent can't afford to pay 30, 40, 50, 60, $70 per lead. Well, then I need to find something in the middle, right? So these leads can be anywhere from 15 to like 20, $25-ish, give or take, and they don't have any pre-qualifying questions. They rely solely on your skill. And that's why they're so scalable. Because it rewards the people who maybe are like, dude, I got 20 bucks, but if I just had leads that are a little bit more intent, and then the agents that are really, really good are like, yeah, I mean, these are cool. I can still scale with these and I can lead from the front. Because then the reality is, yes, you're gonna have your top producers, but to build a big business, it's not gonna be just filled with all top producers. It's not in the life insurance space. In other spaces, maybe, but because of how easy it is to get people in and get people out, and from a barrier to entry standpoint, the more scalable model would be having a bunch of agents doing 20 to 40K versus having, a bunch of agents doing 70K. It's like that the likelihood that happens is so low. You'd be better off just finding 3 people that do, 40K and make 120 than one person who does 70. And then you can make more people who do 40 because it's just more duplicatable over time. If people are making 20 to 30K and you set 40K as a standard, so they fall a little bit below it and they do 20 to 30, that's pretty cool. I mean, you get 20 people, you're at 600. You get 30 people, you're at 1,000. You're at 1,000,000. It's like you just need 30 people to do 30K or 40K. That's not, I mean, it's hard, but it's like 30 people. I mean, you can get there relatively fast depending on how you do it. But what's the most efficient way to get there? It's like have them run age leads and burn themselves out. Have them run fresh leads and low profit margins. No, train on skill, put them in the middle ground, and then they will scale from there. Just say, dude, take our script and just those questions that are asked typically on the lead form, you just ask them at the beginning of the call. Hey, John, I'm getting back to you about the request you filled out. You were looking into index universal life insurance. You listed your age here as 62. Is that correct? Yes, perfect, John. So when you were looking into this, the way these policies work, one version of it is funding it more for cash value. The other aspect, which essentially, you're going to grow your money, tax deferred, tax free, whatever verbiage term you want to use. Similar to like a retirement account, similar. And then the other version is going to be more of a death benefit. So in the event that something happens to you, it's going to pay out with living benefits, etc. Which of those two were you kind of looking into? Oh, I was looking at this. Perfect. Sounds good. And then in terms of like contribution rates, before we hop in, just so I can have understanding, these do require whatever. And maybe you don't say that immediately. I probably wouldn't now that I'm spitballing because I'm freestyling this, but you get the point. I would use that as my intro. People are like, well, I need to have this. No, you don't. No, you don't. If it adds $2 to your lead cost, $3, $4, $5 to your lead cost, and you get that same lead for $5 less, but you just don't want to do, I'm taking it on me to train the skill rather than trying to overcompensate with like having more questions. It doesn't matter. If I'm increasing the cost per lead, it makes no difference. To me at least, right? Because I can scale that. That $5 adds up. If I'm doing thousands of leads, if I'm doing 100 leads a day, it's $500 a day, gone. Or 100 leads, I'm sorry, that's $500 just gone every day. That adds up. I don't care what anybody says. And that's only at 100 leads. So if you have an agency that's pumping 1 million and you're doing 1,000 leads, do the math. That's 5 fans a day. That's $60,000 a month. That's how I look at it, right? So it's like you gotta understand and know that like as you scale, that middle portion is what you need to focus on. That's how you scale. You can get really good at scaling that. Now it's hard if you're doing like a lead company like myself to just sell those. So we offer that more for like our partnership clients. But if you're an agent or agency owner who's watching this and you are buying leads or looking to partner up with somebody, or even if you're generating your own, that is the best place for you to start to grow, right? So as always, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe. If you're looking for leads, go to leadlabcrm.com or go to agentleadlab.com. We would love to potentially work with you and help you scale. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.